We are live.
We're live again.
So today we're going to talk about law number 5 of the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene.
Fantastic.
Law number 5 is about reputation. You got a little something right there.
Excuse me.
So let me go ahead and read it. Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Reputation is the cornerstone of power. Through reputation alone, you can intimidate and win. Once it slips, however, you are vulnerable and will be attacked on all sides. And it continues. How has reputation, have you seen a situation where reputation maybe has been destroyed very quickly? Or have you seen a situation where it's been built up over the years and maintained?
Oh, yes, I've seen it,
Yeah.
especially in business. There are business people out there that I know personally that they do not have a stellar reputation, okay? And so I know for a fact that some folks stay away from them on business dealings.
Yeah.
I know that they have lost business and because their reputation precedes them, so to speak.
Right.
And, they're underhanded, they're not crystal clear, they don't explain things properly, contracts are vague, whatever the case may be. So, yes, I have seen it.
Yeah.
I have seen it. It's not a good thing.
Yeah. Now, have you seen a situation where someone has a great reputation? And maybe you can share, because you've been around in business a lot longer. You've been around a little longer than me. Have you seen a situation where someone had a great reputation or a business had a great reputation and then something happened where it fell very quickly? Where something changed? Like, for example, I can think of one of the restaurants that we love going to. The other day we were there and you said, something's changing here in this restaurant. It's not the same. It's not the same. Something, maybe if it's, and I'm thinking, well, I don't really sense that yet. I mean, there are key people in that restaurant that help run it smoothly when they're there, and when they're not there, you feel a difference, but it's the same food, right? But no, you're saying that you taste something different. Maybe they're going a little bit, watering down certain things a little bit. So that very quickly can change, right? It can start going downhill.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, since you're talking about restaurants,
Yeah.
One of the probably the most important thing in the restaurant is the food. Okay, how it tastes and if it's healthy or not. Because at this stage in the game, I'm looking for healthy alternatives. When I was younger, I used to eat everything and anything. Now I'm looking for things that are organic and so forth and so on. The whole country is going in that direction, and especially having two dietitians, is that in the family, with degrees here and there and everywhere. They make sure not to let me forget to eat properly.
Yeah.
So, so you're talking about the restaurant. So food is important. However, when you said key persons in this particular place that you're talking about, there is one young man in there that makes this restaurant stand out over every other one that I go to. And that's because his character, he's always positive. He's on every detail.
Yeah.
He's doing like 15 things at one time, and he's good at all of them at one time.
Yeah.
He's the epitome of, what do you call it when you're
Multitasking.
Multitasking.
Yeah, he's seeing what's going on in the front door, while he's also looking at the kitchen, while he's also looking at the client in front.
Correct.
He's got it down.
And there is one more person that I know that runs an extremely successful restaurant that is like that. Because we sit down, in this second case, he's the owner, and he sits with us, and we speak about all kinds of things, but he's always paying attention to what's going on here, what's going on there.
Yeah.
And he tells me, excuse me a second, hey, can you fix that? Put those two tables together, you can put them in that. I mean, he's on it,
Right.
okay? These are special people. In the first case, that young man is not per se the owner of the restaurant, which I give him more credit, okay? But not taking any credit away from the second person, he's the owner of the restaurant. It is in his best interest to, you know. I forget. Oh, I this morning I took my car in, and the gentleman that took the vehicle to get service was very professional, very nice, and he did something for me that was going out of the, you know, the normal route,
Yeah.
to give me a discount. He took an expired discount coupon to his boss, and the boss said, "Hey, yeah, give him the discount." Okay, now I got a bottle of wine for him when I pick up my car,
And now you're gonna talk good about the place.
and I'm talking good about the place. There was another young man there, and he approved the discount, but he said, "Hey, you know what? It's not my money. It's okay. It's not my money."
Mm.
But I won't take that as a negative comment because his attitude was very good. He's a young man. He approved the discount. He's very good attitude. But he could have gone without making that comment. And that's, I'm going to attribute that to youth. You know? Sometimes there are words unnecessary, maybe.
Yeah.
Because in my book, both of them are great. And I didn't meet the manager, but he approved it. Everybody else, in my book, both of them are great. I got a nice discount. I'm a happy camper. Who's not happy when they get a discount? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But getting back to the restaurants, something is changing.
Yeah, and
And-
the thing is, they could have a great restaurant for 20 years, and then they lose a key employee, like that person, the young man that you say is all over. He runs it like if it were his restaurant, or they lose maybe
The cook.
maybe the ingredients change, maybe the location changes. You know, there's a lot that can go into it, and then all of a sudden the reputation can people start talking. But now you also have things like Yelp and Google and all these different, and Instagram and all these different pages that YouTube that people can review, so things can spread positively very quickly. Things can spread on the other way
Yeah.
negatively very quickly.
Absolutely.
When before it was just word of mouth.
Correct. And well, I mean, I have told many, many people about both these restaurants.
Yeah.
And I know that many of them have visited these restaurants and have enjoyed a dinner or
Yeah.
lunch in these places, because I talk to people. What I like, I spread.
Right. And it's a great feeling when someone
Oh.
goes and says, "Hey, I went there. You recommended it. It was amazing." So that restaurant builds on the reputation.
Exactly.
I saw it in business where there was an opportunity. This was in sales where someone was an excellent, high-performing salesperson.
Uh-huh.
But unfortunately, they began to go through marital issues. And in going through their marital issues, and I can't blame the person or anything, I can't imagine, but they began to answer the phone less, be less dependable. They began to not show up at certain things, and the reputation very quickly ceased being a good reputation. Even though they have been doing this for a long, long time, you know, over 10 years, 15 years, great reputation, building it up. And that's why when Robert Greene says so much depends on your reputation, well, your livelihood depends on your reputation as a salesperson, as a business.
Oh,
guard it with your life. Unfortunately, in this situation, the marital issues and maybe personal issues that were going on in this person's life, that became the focus,
For sure.
and the business began to hurt. A guy like me who was coming up in sales got the opportunity to get off the bench and replace this person.
Oh, what a way, what a fantastic way of putting it.
Well, here he says, Robert Greene says, however, you are vulnerable. So he's saying, through reputation alone, you can intimidate and win, right? If you have an excellent reputation, you don't give other people a chance. However, once it slips, however, you are vulnerable, will be attacked from all sides. A lot of people, I didn't do this, but a lot of people begin to trash this person's
Sure.
reputation. Oh, they don't show up, they don't this, that, because it gives an opportunity for you to step up. And it says always be alert to potential attacks, thwart them before they happen. Then Robert Greene, he always takes it another level, right? He says, meanwhile, learn to destroy your enemies by opening holes in their own reputations. Then stand aside and let public opinion hang them.
Wow.
So Robert Greene is, that's the thing. There's a lot of truth in what he's saying.
He's a genius.
And he looks at the historical, but you can look in your own life. And like you've been in business over 30 years, you pride yourself, you have pride in your reputation.
Absolutely.
And upholding it. Like a situation happened the other day where there was some things thrown at you at your name, and you needed to make sure you squashed that idea, which was an incorrect idea about something about you.
Right.
You needed to make sure you addressed it so that it didn't go on the record as being you being a certain way that you're not, right?
Well, yeah, something was said that didn't sit well.
Yeah.
And, we need to make it clear that if we make a mistake, and I've made plenty, the best thing to do in life when you make a mistake is to own it. Go back to the source and tell them, hey, look, I really messed up here, or this was a mistake I made.
Yeah.
I want you to know I apologize for this. I'm going to fix this, and this is not going to happen again.
Yeah.
That's what I do when I make a mistake or one of my staff makes a mistake, because if a staff makes a mistake, ultimately it's your fault.
Right.
Because the client is not thinking, the employee made the mistake. Well, the employee represents the company, and the company is me, right? Yeah. Or if you own the business, whoever owns the business, right? So you own it.
Right.
And it's the best way to face it. And the sooner you do it, the better it is.
It may not end pretty. Because when you own up to a mistake, they may be like, well, I'm not going to use you again. That's okay. Because those are the, what are they called? The
rights of the individual, the client.
Yeah. You messed up, and there's going to be a consequence. It's a consequence to the mistake.
Correct.
Everybody, we make mistakes, but it may not end pretty. But the other side is that person may actually be like, you know what, they owned up to it. And, hey, I understand. We all have our days or whatever, right? Sometimes a customer will do that.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
And the reason I brought up that restaurant is because a mistake was made.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they had to take the plate away.
What happened?
And bring another plate. Mom and I were having breakfast, or lunch, excuse me, and there was a hair in the plate.
We won't name the place.
No, we won't name the place.
And we like the place a lot.
We like the place a lot, and that's not going to stop us from going there. Right. Your mother was very graceful. Anything can happen. But they really should be using nets.
Hair nets.
Hair nets.
Yeah.
And maybe they were. Maybe they were, and this is a freak of nature, right? So
maybe the plate grew a hair somehow.
It happens. I mean,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? You're
Yeah,
gonna
for sure.
sacrifice somebody? Hey, you're gonna make a scene, whatever. I
We
I go to this place like twice a week,
right, but
and I
we
love it.
but we know
The
we
one,
have family in food service,
oh,
and there are rules for food service,
correct.
and so there's also that. But you found a hair in the plate.
Yeah, mom did
How many hairs do we lose a day?
a lot. I would say 1,000, hundreds of them. I'm not sure, but hundreds.
Well, American Academy of Dermatology says it's normal to shed between 50 and 100 hairs a day.
Oh wow, that was
When
way
the
off.
body sheds significantly more hairs, a person has excessive hair shedding. So 50 to 100 strands, that was one of the 100.
No,
1% chance, and it happened.
right.
So it ended up in your plate. They took it back. They apologized, and you were good.
And this young man was extremely graceful. He had. I looked at his face when mom was sharing
Yeah.
the information with him, and his face went like, oh my.
Yeah.
He didn't know what to do to make it up. And you can feel the genuineness in
Yeah.
him. And immediately he took it to the back. And, they put her plate ahead of the whole line because that's a very busy place. So she got her plate back, her new plate, quite quick.
Yeah.
So, listen, guys, nobody's perfect. Like I say, all you have to do is look in the mirror and,
Yeah. But we can do things to withhold a certain reputation, and it just reminds me the situation you're talking about with the hair. One time I went to Chipotle, and sometimes if somebody messes up or something, they'll give you like a free chips or free whatever. But one time I went to Chipotle, and I'm going through the line, and the person who's getting ready to charge me at the register is adding chips to my plate, a bag of chips, and I said, "Oh no, I didn't order any chips," and then I guess she said, "Oh no," and she was putting the chips anyways. And I said, "Oh no, I wasn't ordering any chips." And then she's like, "I was trying to give them to you," and took them off my plate and put them back away. So I was trying to be honest and not walk out with a bag of chips I didn't pay for, and she was trying to, I guess, do a nice gesture and give me the chips, and then she took the chips back. It just reminds me a little bit, but anyways,
you just never know how people are going to react.
yeah.
But with that,
I didn't take it bad.
Yeah, well, as long as you're coming from a place of gratitude,
Yeah.
as long as I'm very big on what I say is, what are the intentions?
Yeah.
If you have a 10-year-old that throws a ball through a window and breaks the window on purpose, the intentions were to break the window. But if you got a 10-year-old that throws the ball and inadvertently hits the window, the intention was not to break the window.
Right.
They are two completely different things. So I look at intentions all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm quite forgiving because I know that, I'm 64 now. I've made a lot of mistakes. Even when I try to be crystal clear on certain things, communication is an art form
Yeah.
that needs to be mastered. And I am far from mastering it, and I'm learning something new every day. So conveying
Yeah.
your meaning sometimes can be,
Absolutely.
oh,
Communication. With reputation, it's
but
an
next time
interesting.
just take the chips, man.
I guess so. With reputation, it's interesting because, like, let's say you're starting a business, or you're just trying to build a reputation. Maybe you work somewhere and people don't know how your level of work yet, right? So you need to prove yourself. Well, it takes time. It takes a long time to build a good reputation.
It does.
It takes, but it seems like very quickly that reputation can be uh, shattered, or it could
It
be
is.
taken down.
It can take it can take a long time to build it, and it shattered immediately.
Yeah, just one mistake,
Oh,
your reputation is gone. I'm thinking of like certain situations of like people. There are certain people that we come across in business or different settings. Like they have a reputation of not doing things. It's on the gray line, right? And hey, we all, no one's perfect here, but if people think that already and that reputation's out there, there's usually some truth behind it.
yeah. And going back to a long time ago when I was in college, um, I took a calculus class. I was a pre-med student, and you had to take calculus. And I took a class, and I needed to take the class. And I remember that the instructor that was giving the class at this particular time, in this particular schedule, was the dean of the math department. And he was tough. And so I I found myself struggling in that class, and I went to get some help and so forth to try to finish the class. And one of the guys that was after school
Counselor?
counseling well, after school teaching
Like tutoring?
the tutoring,
Yeah.
he said, "Who are you taking the class with?" And I gave him the gentleman's name, and he says, "Well, of course, you're having trouble. I mean, he's just the toughest guy." But some people took that class on purpose because they wanted that challenge.
Mm.
They wanted to get an A in that class. Okay?
Yeah, maybe he didn't grade on a curve or something that maybe other professors were doing.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And he was a brilliant man. As I look back, he was a brilliant man, but he didn't have the best way of teaching the product, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
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 When there were other people, maybe not so brilliant, but they had a unique way of teaching it, so you could learn it easier
Right.
from them. And there are some people that say, "Hey, don't make it hard, man." Not to this particular thing, but why make something hard if it doesn't have to be? Make it easy, you know?
Well, one
So,
of the arguments to that would be like if you're studying to become a doctor and the training to become a doctor is easy, are you going to want a doctor who went through a very difficult training and passed that difficult training, and they're going to operate on you? They're ready, right? And versus the guy who maybe had an easier training, right?
right.
Or a scientist or something. Like I'm thinking like someone who's taking calculus, you end up engineering and you're putting satellites up. You're gonna
Or
need the
building
guy who
buildings.
had the tough professor. But those are just different ideas. They're just different ideas. But yeah, some teachers had those reputations that you don't mess around in that class, and it's gonna be difficult to
But
pass.
reputation is extremely important because it will, I think it opens doors
Yeah,
and it can close them.
yeah,
We've been very fortunate that we have been able to, thank God, um, keep a pretty good reputation, I think.
yeah.
And so, people search us out, thank God,
It's
But
also
yeah,
a
you can
small.
lose it immediately
Yeah,
because there's a story out there about Albert Einstein where he was teaching a class, and of course a math class, and he took a very simple addition problem, and it had like 3 or 4 sections to it, or they were 4 different addition problems, and he made a mistake on one of them on purpose.
mm.
Okay? And then from the story, the class was laughing at the one, such a simple mistake. He's such a brilliant man. And it was an addition table or something. So there were 10 problems on the board, and one of the problems was incorrect. It was very simple. A 7-year-old could do it, but he made the mistake on purpose. And a lot of the people in the class were laughing, if not all. And he turned to them and said, look, you guys saw that I got 9 out of 10 problems right, but I got one wrong, and you guys were quick to laugh at me for it. You know, the truth is, I got this wrong on purpose just to make this point. And that is out there. And it was Albert Einstein, actually, who did that to teach this class, make a point of this. And it's very interesting.
Super. Can
Yeah.
you imagine being a student in Einstein's class?
No.
We should, in another podcast, talk about his brain.
Oh, yeah.
You've looked into his brain and what happened to his brain.
It was lost
It was lost.
for a few years. Well, it wasn't lost. The
Someone
guy
had
that
it.
did, yeah, the guy that did,
The autopsy?
the guy that did the autopsy kept it in his basement, and he would go down the basement and have a beer and talk to Einstein's brain until he returned it to, I think, his son or something.
That's crazy.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll
It's
talk about
quite interesting.
Um,
I mean, it's incredible, actually.
so
Crazy.
crazy. Going back to reputation, is there anything that you in your years that you've seen in, let's say, in a business setting, or not, it doesn't have to be business setting, that you saw someone's reputation get hurt, but by something that wasn't true,
Oh, yeah.
and then where they were able to rectify?
Well, I didn't personally see this, but what comes to mind is a teacher. And this particular teacher, one of the students said, oh, he did this to me.
Something inappropriate.
Inappropriate. And apparently it wasn't true. And it didn't go with the character of the teacher. The teacher seemed to be a super fantastic human being. Okay?
Yeah.
But this kid said this, and they crucified this person, this teacher. And as it turns out, I don't remember if it was 10 years later, this student said, hey, you know what? It was a lie. And I regret it so tremendously now, and now I have to live with that for the rest of my life. I know I made this teacher's life miserable, and he did.
Wow.
And she did, whatever, because this teacher was fired, stripped of all the teaching abilities, and it was a horrible life.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
those those things can happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we need to be quite careful.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's tough.
it's tough.
Those are tough situations.
Those are
but
very tough situations.
They occur, and then once you have something like that on your
Oof.
reputation, that's forever.
Yeah. And I remember that story, and I never forgot it. And it's 10 years.
Yeah.
It's just like we're getting off track, but yeah, you have to protect your
You have to.
reputation.
Yeah.
But even when you have a stellar reputation, something like what I just mentioned can ruin you.
Right.
Because, I mean, it's
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah. I think that definitely one of the ways to protect it, just from my perspective, is that let's say if something is said that's incorrect, and things start to get pushed out that are like an idea that's incorrect about you or something, I think addressing it
Immediately.
head
Head on.
because if not, it could build
Oh.
up. And who's spreading that information out? Addressing it with them. Why are they doing that? Yeah, it's something that's delicate. It's like, I think of it like a glass, that you're building a glass vase or something, and then it's growing bigger and bigger, but it's so fragile, brittle, and it can shatter if you don't protect it
You
with
have
your
to be
guard it
very
with your
careful.
life.
Oh, very careful. So yeah,
Yeah.
your reputation is extremely important,
Yeah.
especially in business.
Yeah.
Especially in, you
Yeah, all
know,
around, all around.
all the way around. In every part of your life,
Yeah.
actually, you know?
But one thing that you said about like to maintain a good reputation is not to. I think one of the things is not to burn bridges. It's a small world in the whole sense of it. If you are working locally and you're trying to build in within a community, yeah, you can always take off to another state, country, rebuild, let's say. But it's very small world. You can even do that. I remember you saying one time you went to Hawaii and you ran into somebody that you knew,
Yes.
in Hawaii,
Yes.
and it's like just random.
Yes.
So you can try and go somewhere and start fresh, and maybe you can do it. But it's a small world from that point of view. That
The world is a very small world.
yeah, people know people. The six
People,
degrees of separation.
exactly. Exactly. And so, um, and especially now with Instagram,
Yeah,
Facebook,
yeah.
YouTube,
Social media.
TikTok, all these things.
Yeah,
Somebody, believe me, it's extremely difficult to. You need to have special skills to, so to speak, get off the grid.
yeah,
Okay, special skills. You want to get off the grid.
Yeah.
I was reading an article the other day. The first thing you have to do is get rid of your cell phone. Okay,
It's like we went to go see one guy.
get out of every platform.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, we went to see who?
Remember we went to go see a property once, and the gentleman was a prepper, and he had shelves worth of food, stored food,
Oh,
pickled stuff. I don't remember. It was pickled fruits.
yeah.
And all kinds of stuff that they had. And they were preppers. They were getting ready for getting off the
Armageddon.
grid.
Who knows what?
But
What
but
was
yeah.
interesting there, he was a police officer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was a detective, I
a
think.
detective, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, I think that's solid. I think that don't burn bridges.
No.
Because you're gonna run into the person again. You're going to. I guarantee you, if you stay within, somehow you're gonna somebody that knows you that says, "Oh yeah, I knew that guy," or "I worked with them," or whatever, and you burn a bridge with somebody, and it could come back and bite you. I think you can't. Also, if you're gonna be yourself, the other side is that there are some people that are just themselves, and you either love them or hate them type of
Right.
personalities. We
Right.
know a lot of those people, and they're good people, but they have a lot of people that don't like them.
For sure. For sure. My idea is kill them with kindness, if you can.
That's a contradiction.
Yeah, I know. But, if you
Kill 'em.
can, kill them with kindness. They have no choice but to say, hey, all right, But I was going to say something and it slipped my mind, but you were talking about.
That burning bridges and that it's a small world. You're going to somehow run into somebody again that you've worked with.
What happens is, like, for example, since we are in business
Mhm.
and we're talking about reputation, your reputation is important in every aspect of your life, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Okay? Personal,
Yeah.
family. But in business, it's extremely important because where I've seen reputations take a turn for the bad
Mhm.
is when someone, in the process of either selling an item or selling a service,
Mhm.
okay, in business, thinks of themselves first before thinking of the client.
Right.
And so, if you're thinking of the mighty dollar bill, okay,
Yeah.
you might have a problem. Like the other day, we went to this gentleman. He's got a business, and he said, "Hey, listen, I want to do what's best for you, and if it's not the best thing for you, I don't want to do it, because I'm still going to have a job. I'm still going to be super busy.
Yeah.
And that's the idea. You know, you take care of the customer, since we're talking business,
Yeah.
you know, first and foremost, provide the customer something that is beneficial for them and their family.
Yeah.
Even if it's not the product where, forget about commissions, but even if it's not the product where you make the most commissions, because
Yeah.
it's gonna come back to you 1,000-fold. I know some people that they only sell the product that they are making the most commissions in.
Well, the other side to that is, I agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
you know.
If you're doing the best thing for the customer, however, if you look at behavior in sales organizations, um, I believe, personally, my opinion, that people's behavior is determined by the compensation structure that a organization has. So if you want people to sell a certain product, then that product has to deliver a higher commission.
I agree with that, but that product is not necessarily
The best
the
product.
best product for everybody out there.
I agree.
If you choose that product because you make the highest commission on it,
Right.
you know,
But people's behavior in as a whole, if you take a huge sample, I bet you that most of people are gonna sell that product. But I hear what you're saying. You're saying
Yeah.
stand out by not selling that product, but instead selling the one that is best for them. Maybe it is that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, in my case, it's very simple. I don't have a lot of products, you know, I have a few. So, and they're all marked with the same thing. I don't determine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I hear you loud and clear. But
Yeah.
see, you know, in the old days when they were teaching us to sell, one of the ideas that was brought forth was, look, if you sell the wrong product to an individual,
Mm-hmm.
that product's not going to last. Eventually, that individual is going to realize it's the wrong product, or they don't have enough money to continue with it. You know, it's
And then you build a bad reputation.
and then you build a bad reputation.
Because they're not gonna come back. They're not gonna refer you. And as a business, you need referrals. You need to have a good reputation,
Absolutely.
and especially now online.
Oh,
Your online reputation. I know that opportunities have been brought to some individuals because they have a large online presence. They have a large online presence, 100,000 Instagram followers, or 100,000 or 50,000, and then all of a sudden they're seen. It's seen as reputation. Like it's like a, not validity, but what's the word I'm looking for? It's like some sort of
if they have 100,000 followers, they must be good.
it's you assume that though.
Yeah, they must be good, right? That's what people
That's
think.
the assumption.
The assumption is, that you have 1 million followers, it must be good.
Right.
Like you introduced me to this guy that does YouTube, Mr. Beast or something.
Mr. Beast,
Yeah.
the number one YouTuber
Yeah.
in the world.
Well, and this may be old news, guys, but it was news to me. He's doing YouTube channel now in Spanish. He's
multiple languages.
Yeah, but he was talking about Spanish, and I think he was talking to Joe Rogan, and so he's got 200. I hope this is not 200 million followers, and when he takes into account all his platforms,
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it.
So somebody offered him $1 billion
Oh.
for his business, and he turned it down.
Yeah.
Because he said, I believe, do your own research, guys. I'm going off, but I believe he said, no, it's worth more like 10 billion. 10 times what they offered him.
But it's not a money thing for him.
It's not a money thing
I don't
anymore. Now, this is the kid that didn't go to college or dropped out of college and didn't tell his parents, right?
Yeah. No, it's a really interesting story.
Yeah. Maybe we should do something
Yeah.
like that.
He was telling his mom that he was going to school, and he wasn't. And then he started.
Now, what does that do to his reputation? He's
Yeah.
a big fat liar.
Yeah. And then it got to a point where basically the
I'm
mom
kidding.
said, "Hey, you need to go to school." Then he said, "Okay, I will, as long as I can still make my videos." And then he got to a point where he made like $25,000 on one video. That one video went viral, let's say. And then the moment that happened, he says, "All right, mom, I'm done with school." Because he said, now I'm able to, I'll figure it out at this point. I was only going to school because he needed a place to live with his mom.
You know the
But now
story
she's
better
on
than
board.
me.
She's on board with him and everything. And
Well, like
she's seen what he's done. But yeah,
but going back to law number 5, reputation. You need to guard it, like he says, like Robert Greene says, with his life.
yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
and look, Robert Greene has a reputation for writing excellent books
yep,
and throwing himself 150% into the books, to the point that
yeah,
shortly after he wrote one of his books, and I should know this, I forget the name of because he's got like 9 of them out there. He had a stroke.
yeah, he did.
He worked so hard into the book
Yep.
that he ended up getting a stroke after writing that book.
And I remember in an interview they asked him, "Would you, do it differently?" He says, "No." He felt that he needed to get all of that body of work out, like before he dies, basically. And so whatever it took to get that out, and if it meant afterwards he has a stroke or health issues afterwards, he says, "No, I needed to get that out." Yeah, he's got like another his calling or his mission in life is beyond, let's say, just him. He wants to do something bigger.
And those are the people that make a difference in our world.
And they've banned the 48 laws of power in certain in prisons. I believe in some prisons they banned the 48 laws
You
of
sure
power.
about that? Because I read that the 48 Laws of Power was the most widely read book in prison.
It was maybe
Oh,
at one point, I don't know, but I read something recently.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's look it up. Was the 48 laws
It was
of
the most widely
power.
read book in prisons.
of power banned? Because I saw on his YouTube channel, it was the 48 laws of power. It was, I'm trying to look for a good Utah State Prison bans 2 books: Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power and Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction.
Woo!
And I guess one of the reasons that I read, and you
The
guys,
inmates were getting too smart and they were manipulating the prison guards.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know. That's what comes to mind.
Yeah, they were manipulating. They were learning how to, I guess,
Get away with
certain things. You don't want that in prison, I guess.
I guess not. I don't know.
But
I don't know enough about any of these topics to
Yeah,
be considered anything
Dangerous?
on it. Yeah.
yeah, but it's definitely worth looking into, and we can wrap it up there.
Okay. Sounds good.
Cool.
This was a good conversation.